Hey guys, Lelaine Art Geek here. Welcome back to the channel. We are here in my studio slash office at the new house, even though I don't think I would call it new anymore because we moved here in May, the beginning of May. As I'm recording this, it is more than halfway towards August. I've lived here for a good amount of time, and so I feel that my studio has gotten to the point where I'm comfortable in it now. I am super excited to show you guys this office. I've been meaning to do it for a while, but I wanted it to be a good time, which I feel like it is. And we are entering the fall season, so probably when I make more studio vlogs, I'm going to decorate the studio a little bit more and show you guys and just get into the spirit of things. And this entire room is just my studio. I think in the past you guys might have noticed that my bed was in the room as well, which is the same place where I slept. This is actually just a separate office room, so I'm very happy about that actually. So later on in the video as well, I am going to be doing a review on the Ohuhu alcohol markers, and I just want to thank Ohuhu for gifting me these markers. It is my first set, and I can't wait to show you guys and demonstrate and review those markers. For this first half will be the studio tour. Enough talking, let's go ahead and show you guys the studio. Here is the studio. I wanted to make sure that this space was very much decorated, but also functional at the same time. So I will go through all of the decorations, all of the necessities if you guys run your own art business and art studio in general, which I am trying to shift my studio into becoming as well. Not just a place to run my business, but to also do some serious art making. But I will show you guys how I store my stuff and everything like that of the sort. Please keep in mind that what I do for my room is not an essential thing that you should do for your room. As a matter of fact, I do a lot of things that I'm pretty sure most people would probably question. So I'll explain how I usually do it, but this is like my personal mess, and it's the mess that works for me. So if you guys have any suggestions on like storage things or anything to keep most of my art supplies, then please feel free to comment below and I will look into it. I'm gonna go ahead and just go into each section of the room. Let's go ahead and get started on this side. So I have a beanbag chair that originally was supposed to be for me and Phillips's bedroom, but we kind of moved it here because I needed a seat and I just never moved it back. So I'm just going to say that this beanbag chair now belongs in the studio. It has all of these blankets, all these cozy blankets, and this is normally where I would like sit down if I want to take a break from sitting in this chair, edit some reels and videos on here, check some comments on my social medias, and just kind of unwind a little bit. Conveniently enough, it's right next to the outlet over here. So I usually charge my phone while I'm doing my reel stuff, and it all works out in the end. And then there is my backpack. And while we're already facing the floor, I do have my Super Mario rug here, which I found at Target, and I thought it was the cutest thing. Unfortunately, it's a little dirty. Not even a little, like very, very dirty, and I need to clean it, so don't mind it. But I just want to show it off because I still find it super cute. Lo and behold, my cute gamer chair, even though I don't play games as much anymore. I did get this on Amazon. I'm actually gonna link most of the things that I find on here, like in this video, in the description, because most of these things I did find either on Amazon or other sites and stores that are probably near you. So I will do my best to list all of my studio equipment in the description. And if you guys have a particular thing that you're asking about, then please comment that and I will answer. And I got this strawberry pillow. I got it from Target, and I got this Miku pillow from Mara and Evander. Put their handle here. I'm pretty sure you guys already know who they are at this point. So now we go into this little corner over here. This is kind of my random corner because I don't really know what to do with this particular section yet. Like that bin is a random bin and it's been sitting there since we moved in, and I don't know where to put it. I mean, I guess I could put it in the closet, but There's a reason why I haven't put it in the closet yet. I also have like a little lamp here, which this isn't its permanent place. I do want to move it somewhere else, and I got it from Target. If you notice a trend so far, a lot of the things that I really like in this room are from Target. Oh, the beanbag chair is from Walmart. I don't know if I mentioned that already, but it's from Walmart. This section over here, you guys might be familiar with it, but it is part of my convention like inventory. This is my keychain section over here, like where I carry my keychains, and then these are my 2 sticker boxes. In this closet actually is where I keep my convention stuff. So my displays and the rest of my inventory are actually still in these bins. My display prints are up there and my suitcase is hiding down there. I figured that this closet was perfect for storing my convention stuff because it has enough room to do so, and it's separated from everything else in the studio, which is very much a necessity. And this is the first wall that I'm going to be showcasing with some artwork on it. And most of these pieces are from my art mutuals, my art friends, and also artists that I look up to personally. So you'll see a lot of these on my walls. So here we have probably my favorite section of the room, and it is my art desk with my small business supplies as well, but we'll get to all of that in a second. But this is the same art desk that was at the old house, and I just brought this one back over because I can't get rid of it. I love it too much. In this section as well, this is usually where I record my reels, and I have my artwork here with some art supplies, and I pretty much record everything on this table with this desk mat, which I did get from Amazon. I will link that below. And here we have another favorite corner of the studio, and it's my bookshelf slash the continuation of my art prints on this side. I have so many art prints on that corner as well, but I love this section because it feels very cozy. Everything is organized and it makes me happy, and I love decorating it with plants. So you'll see a lot of plants on this section. I mean, you've seen the plants over here as well, but this is kind of a continuation, and I'm very proud of having this one like drape along the sides of the bookcase because I love plants that do that. I also decided to hang my neon sign in this section as well. I will link below where I got this one from, even though this was gifted for a collab, but I will link it below in case you guys want to make your own. Now over here is a more simpler section of the studio, and it is my computer desk and my drawers over here. So both of these were from IKEA, and both of them were from the discount section, the clearance section. So I am so glad because this table was only $20, and I think this one was $70, which it is still a lot of money. However, if you guys know IKEA prices, they are not cheap right now. So I am so glad I got these when they were at the clearance section. And I have my computer here. I edit, I go on YouTube, I do literally everything on this laptop. And right now it's my JoJo wallpaper that I drew, and I'm very proud of it. This is also where I'm currently keeping my Moonbin printer. My friend gave me this like Moonbin printer stand. It's the pink and purple thing that holds the printer itself, and it also has something to hold the labels. I feel like this is super cute. I love the color combination. The functionality of it is perfect for what I do with this printer. Most of the stuff in these drawers are actually like random things. Like the first 2 drawers are just random stuff that I need to organize. I have my thank you cards here. I'm not sure if I showed it off before, but here are my thank you cards. I also have some hard mailers and do not bend signs. I also have more of the mailers, and I have cardboard here for whenever I get an order with the big print and I need like a backing for that print. That last drawer is empty. I definitely need to utilize all of these drawers in an organized way, but we'll get there when we get there. And now we will move on to the last section of my room, which is this little bookshelf. And I would also consider this entire corner of the room part of the last section as well. I turned that off, by the way, because it was kind of giving a weird glare to the camera, so don't mind that I already turned this off for that reason. I am am very proud of this section as well because it has the majority of my art figures. Like I have my Sabos, I have this elf felt standee that's also made by Mara Vander. I have Gear 5 Luffy and Kaido there, and then Zoro, Jolene, Ace, and then Miku figures by this artist that I will be labeling on the screen right now. And then in some of these hubbies are products and inventory that I do bring to conventions. I have my Sailor Moon sticker books here. These are actually my Christmas sticker sheets that I am planning on bringing back when the Christmas season comes around. So these are just the leftovers from last year. And I also have my Breakfast Kitty sticker book with a little chopper right there. And then these are the overflows of my acrylic keychains, my acrylic charms. A lot of it I didn't bring to conventions because it was actually going to be too heavy and a lot to bring anyway. So I decided to keep it in these cubbies just for extra storage and inventory's sake. I kind of keep all of like my markers for the whiteboards as well as like cleaning supplies, and there's more artwork back there, but I didn't really have a place to put it, so I just put it back there. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. And that is the entirety of my studio. It's still a work in progress, to be honest, so I'm really not thinking about keeping it this way for the longest. Like I'm probably gonna, you know, adjust a few things here and there in the studio, but yeah, this is it, guys. And I really hope you enjoyed this little tour and find a little bit of inspiration from it. I mentioned earlier, I will link as much stuff as I possibly can in the description because I do want you guys to also get these things if you are interested in getting them. But yeah, this is it. My studio, my little cozy space. I hope you enjoyed, truly. Let's go and review some Ohuhu alcohol markers. This is the next section of the video. I hope you guys enjoy it. So before I start with this review, I just want to thank Ohuhu for gifting me these markers. This is a 120 marker set. 120 markers total, and look at all these markers. This is a lot, guys. Like, this is my very first alcohol marker set ever, so you can tell how happy I am. And it does come with 2 color swatches, 2 sheets of them, and you can see that I've already filled them out. And this is extremely useful for these markers. They also gifted me these fine line drawing pens, which I very much enjoyed using. When I get to this review, I'll definitely talk more about these pens. And I was also gifted this sketchbook, which is meant to hold the ink and the alcohol markers in it too. So really quick, I'm going to also show off the marker itself. So it is dual tipped, dual ended. So there's the broad tip, and then my favorite one is the brush tip. And I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys what they look like when you take off the cap. You can tell that they are different when you color them. The brush is more so getting the corners of your art, while the broad is covering more ground. And I'm also gonna do the same thing with the Ohuhu pens, the fine liner pens. So I believe they come with 7 total, and each of them also have different nibs and tips depending on how thick you want your lines to be. But yeah, I'm just showing you guys what these nibs look like in case if you guys either want thicker line art or thinner line art, you do have those options here. And if you want to be more carefree, the bigger brush pens and the marker looking pen are a great way to do that as well. And I kind of already started drawing in this sketchbook, and it holds the marker really well. I just wanted to show it off to show you guys like what these finished sketches look like. However, I do have a drawing specifically for this video, and we are going to be line arting and coloring this illustration as well. So I guess I will talk briefly about what I'm actually drawing, and then we'll get to the review. So yeah, I hope you guys will like this review and the drawing process, and remember to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And I really appreciate you guys doing so. Thank you so much for being here. But for the actual drawing itself, this is kind of like a, I don't know, it's like one of those illustrations where I wanted to combine
a lot of different elements, but they all work together. But at the same time, like, if it exists in real life, it wouldn't make sense. I don't even know if that made any sense, but it's just like a floating head with fish around her, and then the plants are growing out of her head somehow. It's meant to be whimsy. It's meant to be like mythical, I guess. It's like, it's supposed to come out of my imagination. I wanted to do an illustration anyway with fish and plants, and of course, with me being a character designer, I wanted to also include like a character in it, like a random gal or a random guy, you know, like, because I feel like that's the brand, that's my brand. But I kind of skipped over line arting the other fish because for some reason my like camera was being wonky, and so I didn't actually get the footage for that properly, so we're just gonna skip over it. But yes, let's go ahead and just get to the review because I know that's what you guys want. So listen, I absolutely love that this pen specifically goes so smoothly onto the paper. I mean, this is a sketchbook that's meant for you to like use it with alcohol markers and fine liner pens, right? Like, it doesn't necessarily come in a bundle, but you're supposed to use it together, if that makes any sense. I think it's also like promoted to where it's ideal to use these together, use all three of these art supplies together. So I'm just going to base it off of the assumption that if I were to be an artist that would want to have like a pen marker sketchbook combination, and this is what I gravitate towards, then I'm going to have, you know, I'm going to go off with that assumption and kind of give a review based off of that in particular. I hope that makes sense. Like, I'm kind of reviewing it to where I'm combining all three of these at the same time, in addition to reviewing them individually. But for this pen, I love it. I love how smooth it is on the paper. And I also love that with the variety of the nibs I have as well, like, I don't have to, you know, go over like the lines to make it thick again if I can just switch it over to another pen and then just do less work, you know? And I really appreciate that. I really do. But going back to like drawing over it again though, like, I guess that's the only downside I have about these pens, and maybe it's just me because I am kind of picky when it comes to my pens. I mean, you guys probably might know this, but I literally only use like one brand for my inking pens ever. So, like, this is definitely a new change in pace for me using like different liner pens, but I don't like how, you know, when you draw it on and then the line art is done, and then when you want to erase the pencil underneath, some of the pen actually rubs off with it as well. And I use a rubber eraser, by the way. I use a rubber eraser, kneaded eraser specifically to erase the pencil lines underneath the line art. And unfortunately, like, because of the fact that the pen came off with the pencil, I did it off camera, but I did have to like redraw some of the line art, and that was a little tedious and a little time consuming to my liking. But other than that, I love the pens, I love the variety, and it's such a great beginner like art supply for those who want to start line arting. And now I'm coloring, as you guys can see here, because I got a little too sidetracked about the pens, but that's pretty much it. The pens are definitely great for starters, but personally, that's just my little critique. And I think that's just whatever pen you use, you'll always just have a little bit coming off. And when you're using a kneaded eraser, it's almost borderline impossible to not have pen come off, you know? So, like, I don't know, it's just a little critique. But I'm now coloring with these markers, and honestly, this sketchbook is perfect for these markers. I mean, obviously, you know, like if you want to use it as a bundle, you kind of have to combine all of these together, and it works, and that's the purpose of it. So I appreciate that, you know, this was sent to me as like more like a bundle rather than it, you know, rather than just the markers, and I'm like, oh, I have to figure out where I want to, you know, draw my art. And I like that there's an option if you want to use a whole sketchbook dedicated to these alcohol drawings, that they have that available. So yeah, that's what I appreciate. And I love how smooth the colors are against the paper. I love how vibrant these colors are as well. I feel that because I'm using cooler colors in this illustration, I'm using a lot of blues and greens, which you'll see later on. It doesn't show the true nature of these alcohol markers because I haven't used like the reds or the purples or the pinks or even like the grays and stuff. So I just want to say this right now, that I know that this won't be the last time I'm going to be using these markers, and I'm going to be making more videos on using these markers in those videos, and I promise there will be a wider range of color for them as well. So this is specifically for like the application of the colors, you know, rather than the actual colors themselves. So I know this is like the third time I'm saying this in the video, but I hope that makes sense. But yes, I am more so just focusing on how the markers themselves apply to the sketchbook and how well they work with the fine liner pens, which so far they're working really well together. And I love how even like the darker pigmented markers are just showing on the paper. It's honestly so gorgeous. Like, I get really excited about like coloring with solid colors, solid bright colors, and it doesn't matter if it's traditional or digital. I love the process. I love the process, and just seeing these bright colors in person on the paper, it made me so happy. Like in the beginning of this review, I showed you guys that, you know, I was already drawing in the sketchbook. And I love how even those colors turned out with those sketches. And I've been playing around with these markers for a while to kind of give you guys a better review, because if I just use these markers with this illustration now, I feel like it wouldn't be genuine. And it makes sense too, because I'm only using like a limited palette specifically with this illustration. I'm more using the cooler colors here. So being able to kind of experiment it in the beginning before making this review, I feel like what I'm talking about and what I'm saying feels more genuine to me, and I hope that you guys get value out of that. If you ever want to also get these markers for yourself, which, by the way, I think you should. They're so beautiful, and I love that I have a 120 marker set, because I know that you guys can blend with these markers to create more colors, but it's just so much easier to have a color already ready for you rather than mixing. And, you know, me being also lazy when it comes to mixing my colors, it works a lot. And you work on your art faster when you have a bigger set. There are sets, obviously, that have a smaller color range, and more affordable, of course, if you don't want the 120 set. I recommend it in case you guys just want a more variety, but if you just want a limited palette, they also have other options available on the Ohuhu website, so definitely check that out. One thing to keep in mind when it comes to having alcohol markers is that depending on the paper that you use, they will always 100% bleed through, and it doesn't matter how much ink you put on that specific section of the paper, it's going to bleed through. And as mentioned before, that's just the nature of alcohol markers in general. But the one thing that this sketchbook was provided with that I haven't seen anywhere else with any other sketchbook is that because it's meant for markers, it actually came with this like vellum sheet or like a velvet like texture sheet that you're supposed to put behind the paper that you're drawing on so that it doesn't bleed on the other side, which I haven't seen that before, and I really appreciate that. Usually the main common solution is to just grab like notebook paper or copy paper and you put that behind the paper that you're drawing with instead so that it doesn't translate or it doesn't transfer to the other side of the paper. So I very much appreciate that they did that, and I haven't seen any other sketchbook company or art company that does that to my knowledge, actually. So that was a really interesting feature that they included. And another thing as well is that for this sketchbook, there are perforations on the sides of these pages so that you can actually like rip it out from the sketchbook if you wanted to. I decided not to because I do like to keep all of my artwork in one place, and if I do decide to sell it, I'll definitely rip it out from the sketchbook that way, but otherwise I would normally just keep it in the sketchbook. But I really like how they have that option in case you do want to sell your art or your sketches. And honestly, I feel like I might do that in the future with this illustration because I used to sell physical artwork. I don't do it anymore because I don't have space on my table, but I could do it in my online shop if I wanted to. So let me know if you guys even want me to make prints of this artwork, or if I should also sell the physical artwork itself. So yeah, let me know about that. Another thing too with the markers themselves is that because they bleed, even when you're drawing, some of that ink travels across the page, not too badly because this sketchbook is meant to hold that much ink, but just be careful and try to not color too closely to the lines. I know I'm doing it in this video, but sometimes there were areas where it kind of bled over the line art, and I had to like fix it by going over the line art and thickening the lines, and it was tedious, but just be wary of that. Even though that you're working with paper that's meant to hold all of that alcohol marker ink, it's still going to provide a little bit of bleeding. But of course it's supposed to hold a lot more than, let's say, you know, copy paper or notebook paper or even any other thin types of sketchbook papers. So this whole combination about with the alcohol markers themselves and then with the fine liner, pens, and the sketchbook, again, great bundle. I very much recommend you buying all three of these together. Now, what's nice about using the 120 set comparatively to using any other set is that you have a wider range of colors, which means when you're doing the shading process or the highlighting process of your artwork, you have a lot more options for that. And that's what I really look for when it comes to alcohol markers. I don't like that with some limited palettes, I would have to resort to a shade darker that doesn't look really good when it comes to like actual shading. I feel like the colors would either be too light or too dark, or it wouldn't work together. So the 120 set for these markers helped a lot when it came down to choosing what shades I wanted to use for her hair, for the leaves, for the fish, and same with her highlights. You'll see this in a minute. But I love the variety of options. Obviously the key word here is variety, and that's what I appreciate about this set. And I know that, like I mentioned before, the wide variety of it may be intimidating because you just have so many markers at your disposal, but I also appreciate the option to use those markers if I want to as well. So, and in my opinion, I feel that it's also good to have that wide variety of markers as well, so that you can understand which colors work together when it comes to alcohol markers and what doesn't work, rather than just guessing for yourself. So, what do I think about the alcohol markers, the fine liner pens, and the sketchbook all together? So individually as art supplies, they are absolutely fantastic. The quality is amazing, and I feel that when you're starting out, these are great markers to use because they act and feel like professional quality art supplies without necessarily breaking the bank. For the fine liner pens, I love how smooth they glide onto the paper, and I love how dark the black colors get when you draw with them. Like I mentioned before, I feel that you might have to be a little careful when you're erasing the pencil underneath, just in case if the pen comes off a little more than what you would like. But as a disclaimer though, normally pen would always rub off whatever eraser you use, because that's just the nature of the pen. With the sketchbook, I love how there are a lot of pages to the sketchbook. It's a good size, and there are perforated edges so that you can tear it out of your sketchbook and either frame the artwork or sell the artwork if you so choose, or make prints. It's definitely a versatile thing to have whenever your pages are perforated, so that you can decide to either keep the pages or not. And I like that option. And last but not least, for the alcohol markers themselves, I absolutely love how bright the colors are. I love how they appear on the paper, and they're beautiful, beautiful colors, and the variety is everything to me. And this whole illustration, the colors just pop so well, and having all of these art supplies combined, amazing artwork that you guys can make. I know I'm getting a little rumble jumble here, but overall, they are amazing art supplies. I heavily recommend them when you get the chance. Ohuhu is a great company, and I will definitely buy more markers in the future because I am curious about their other sets as well. I know there's a skin color set and a set that's more than 120 colors, I believe. So I want to explore those in the future as well. But the quality of all of these art supplies, 10 out of 10, would definitely recommend. And I've had a great time working with these markers and the fine liner pens and the sketchbook all together. And as I'm finishing up with these final details, you can find your my coupon code in the description below if you would like your own set of markers, fine liner pens, or sketchbooks, whatever you may desire. But yeah, this is the finished piece over here. I've had an amazing time with this artwork, and I hope you enjoyed this review and also the studio tour. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.